Colonial America from the 1600s to the 1700s was informal seller financing. This is where it becomes clearly documented in the US. Early American settlers relied heavily on informal private agreements because banks didn't exist in any meaningful way. Land was often acquired by promising future crops, labor, or installment payments. In plain English that I can't speak, seller financing wasn't creative. It was basically the default. In the 1800s and early 1900s, it was a dominant private lending era. Before modern banking and government programs, most real estate financing was private. Seller carrybacks, individuals, or local associations. There was no federal mortgage system before the 1930s. Loans were short-term, negotiated, and often required refinancing or payoff balloons. Like, it's typical for someone to have a 5-year balloon if they don't want to go long-term. This is the era where seller financing was not just common, it was mainstream real estate practice. Okay, well, here we are. My name is Dawn Rickabaugh. This is Property and Paper Live. We are represented, or NoteQueen.com is sponsoring this episode of Property and Paper Live. Feel free to go over and sign up for the newsletter and just to keep in touch. If you want to participate in these calls live, ask your own questions, bring up your own situationships that you have going on. Just go, you don't even have to sign up for the newsletter. Well, you probably get it anyway, but you can go over to Property and Paper Live. What do I email? Maybe 6 times a month, something like that, depending on what's going on. So it's not a ton, but it's a way to connect to this conversation. If you're sort of wondering, who is this person? What is this concept? Is it real? Is it legal? You got to hang around a little bit and listen to it before you can kind of get a feel for it before you spend a bunch of money. Just hang around these calls. So anyway, today I promised to talk about landlords. I think the exact subject line was something like, is it too good to be true? Can a tired landlord, usually 60 and above, who own their property free and clear or nearly so, is it really possible for them to double their net income if they take what we would call maybe a creative or unconventional exit? The Internal Revenue Service calls it the installment sale. It's part of the tax code. It's not something that I made up by far. And the answer is yes. And I have seen it happen many times with my clients that have consulted with me. They want to sell their property to their tenant, and they want to do it the right way. Or they're sitting on the market, one price reduction after another, and they get an offer asking for owner financing. Then they find someone like me, and they'll say, what is this? And is it good? And how do I make it better than what even it seems like? So this is especially for you if you're a tired landlord. Now, a lot of you, and I'm going to talk directly to you, like you're all in that age range and you're all in that situation. You're 67, you're still getting on the roof. You and your wife talk about selling. Oh, every few months or so. Well, for sure this spring. Okay, well then your CPA gives you what you'd pay in capital gains and depreciation recapture, and you're like, maybe next year. And you're still taking 2 a.m. phone calls and a 10 p.m. text about the water heater. Okay, and so it just keeps going and going. You're sick of the pitches. You don't want a get rich quick scheme. You just want something solid. Your financial advisor trying to sell you annuities. Well, guess what? You can create your own annuity, your own real estate annuity. And in many times, you can double your net income. And it does sound crazy, but it's true. But you got to do it the right way, because it's no good getting all that fat cash flow if you're just going to set yourself up for a headache that you didn't see coming down the road. So someone like me and people on this call who have been in the note business, which is, yeah, if you're a landlord, you never even heard of a note and you're not sure you even want one. But if you do seller financing, you're going to be holding one and carrying one. And guess what? Somebody might want to buy that note. So you need to know what those buyers of that note would like to pay, right? So if you or your heirs ever decide to sell the note, don't you want to get the best price you can for it? Okay, so that's where understanding the secondary market, that people who are basically private Fannie Mae's and private Freddies, depending on gender. I'm a private Fannie. I identify as a private Fannie. Maybe David relates to being a private Freddie. I would say he probably is a private Freddie, on the inside. He didn't say it out loud, but I know who he is. Oh, shoot. Anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about. And I do have numbers I can take from someone who's on the call, or I can bring up some numbers that are very close, just out of my head, very close to what I've done in the past and helped many people through. So we can do it either way. But before I launch into that sort of monologue, I'd like to, Anthony and David both have raised their hands as they want to bring up something. So the people that are here live, you guys get front and center. So Anthony, you're on. So tell us what's going on in your world.
Well, thanks for having me. So I'm from Reno, and we've met before. But anyhow, I've been to your classes in over downtown and stuff like
great.
that. So I've known it for a while, and even though I've kind of been on the outskirts. But anyhow, I'm currently in Arizona, and I'm looking at two different landlords. One is 73 and another is 92. The 73-year-old has about 25 doors, and the 92-year-old has about 11 doors. I'm looking at both of those portfolios. So I've already warmed up the 73-year-old guy. I've warmed him up to seller financing. I haven't really got down the road with the 92-year-old. I just met her this week, and I'm going to try to warm her up to it as well. But they both know that it's like time to get rid of it. How do I get rid of it all? And it's like I'm here to provide solutions, and I think they both get a sense of that. But where to go with that? This can go in any number of ways. So. Yeah. And I'm not that versed with the notes, although I do know I've done a couple of inspections on the 73-year-old's properties, and on one of them he's held for 27 years. So I was talking to him about what eventually, and the recapture tax, which kind of, it's like, here's why you don't want to sell it to me. So and then that's kind of why I'm here. It's like, what's my next pitch here?
Thank you, Anthony. Oh, what a rich, juicy situation. I really appreciate you bringing that to the table, man. I love cutting into this juicy steak. That's medium rare right there. So first of all, would you please do me the favor, and for people listening, can you back up? Because there's a whole lot of goodness packed up in the, I've been warming the seller up to seller financing. Please fill in the gaps. Like, how do you do that? How do you even talk to a seller? So please, spill some of your genius out on that.
Well, it's not necessarily genius, but I've been on that. I've had my own properties too, and I have rentals now. But it's like, at the end of the day, you're getting older. You don't want the toilet call, and you don't necessarily want to chase, in the case of the 73-year-old, so you're chasing 25 different payments. So it's like, I can give you one check, and then you don't have to deal with all those midnight calls and and the evictions and all of it. You just don't have to
And,
deal
and
with it.
this and this 73-year-old is managing 25 doors by himself.
Yeah. Well,
So
he's
this is
basically built it. So, I mean, there's one that I looked at, it was originally four and he squeaked in another two. It's like, and I thought I was looking at four. And then we get over there and he's got another two kind of rat hole and then he's got a travel trailer back in the back. He's like, well, you could do this and that to that. And then there's a Connex box behind there. And it's like, well, this one's all wired and ready to go. It's like he wants to keep going. And what I don't want to do is take away his purpose either, though. And it's like, well, I'm not trying to bench you. I'm not trying to sit you on the bench and you're out to pasture now, So I mean, kind of got to walk him into that too. It's like, well, if I can, maybe I can find something for you to do, you know.
I love that. So you come because you can understand the situation he's in. You got a few more few less laps on you around the sun, but you can speak to them because you're one of them. Let's just say besides the let's chase one payment, or you won't have to chase one payment instead of 25. How did you broach the concept of seller financing? Had this person heard of that before?
Uh, I don't think so. I don't think. I mean, he's really into the world. It seems to me, I mean, obviously he's had the one property for 27 years. So, I mean, he's just been kind of building on this stuff and not really thinking about it. And then I get his daughter is telling him he's got to sell. And I think he has a younger wife and she's like, you're going to have to get rid of this. And he said, oh, I had open heart surgery, pulled up his shirt, showed me. It's like, this was last year. It's like, yeah, I mean, he said, I mean, but the thing is I get it though, too. I don't want a bunch of properties either. I mean, at some point I'd like to owner finance and back out too, but I mean, here's my in and here's his exit. And how can we both make this thing work?
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So what does the guy need?
Exactly. That's what I don't know. I mean, but the thing is I don't have APODs. I've asked him. So, I mean, I really don't know what his income is. So I don't know. I mean, I know that they, both parties live in decent, they live in pretty nice houses, up in the hills kind of thing. But, I don't know what their income level is. So I don't know what that threshold is. So, I mean, that's what I'm digging for.
Okay, yeah. So
Actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, no.
I mean, this one may need to be continued on a phone call or something to you personally at some point. I'm right in the middle of this, getting to know him and meeting that or the beginning of a negotiation. But I'm here for another week and then I come back home. I'd like to get something a little bit further down the road with this thing before I leave town. So there's
Yeah,
that.
well, that's fantastic. So number one, to address the kind of conversations, it's finding out what their other competing strategy would be. If they took all cash and they were fine with the capital gains, what would they be doing with their money? That is so big because, oh, well, I would be then you know what you're competing with. I'm going to buy this other thing, or I'm going to do stock option trading now, or I'm going to stick it in a CD in the bank or in some treasuries or what. So you need to know what it is they need cash for or want cash for. If they're saying, oh, I'm going to buy some treasuries, what are they at? 4.5 right now? What if
I don't know.
what's your best investment right now? And if I could match that, do you think, and we could secure it by something, this is collateral. This is security that Mr. Seller, these properties inside and out. And if I didn't pay you can create your own annuity here, right? That pays you whatever the competing rate is, but hopefully in that 4 to 5% or less, right? You get this back and you know what to do with it. You throw it in the stock market or somewhere else and that falls, you don't get to decide when you get your money back or if you get your money back, right? So basically, like, what are your immediate cash needs? What are your immediate cash needs? And just curious, oh, well, how much cash? So how much cash do you need? Okay, what are you going to do with it? Just curious, you know? Well, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Okay. Well, if I could get you that or better, you think you could work with me on this? You know, could you give me some time to get you paid? Because I'd like to give you full price, maybe more. But if you can make double what you think this whole lot is worth over the next 15 years, yeah, he might still be alive. Well, he's going to have a kid, right? He's got a younger wife. You're
Right.
going to leave great income for your wife and any other beneficiaries, you know? What if you can make double over that time? I mean, would that be something you'd be interested in? And I think you already have the nice, relaxed conversational tone, it sounds like, you know, with him. But you got to find out more information. You've established some rapport. Now you need to know more. Okay, what are you thinking on price here? And if we didn't have commissions to pay, you know, how much money do you have coming in now? Here's what I think you'd have if we worked out a deal. Oh, do you want to keep this one to yourself? Maybe I won't buy your whole portfolio because I see you enjoy this. It keeps him alive, working his deals and you know, tromping about doing his business. Here's someone who's just this is so many American people, salt of the earth people, head down, work hard, buy properties, pay them off, take care of them. They don't even really think about it. It's just, here's the program. I got on this train and I keep going. And like in this situation, nobody ever told them that a very common exit for those who know is to change real assets for paper assets. The asset is the cash flow. The rental property was the vehicle. But what they want is the cash flow, unless some people just like to work on them. Really, like my grandfather, him having a 3rd-acre garden every year is what kept him alive. Even he was too sick to do anything else, he'd still crawl. Sometimes he had to crawl back from the garden because he got clear tuckered out and he couldn't walk back. But every day he was out in that garden and bringing back stuff to throw in my grandmother's sink. And she's like, oh, I got to do something with this. Right. So, but mostly the cash flow that gives someone effortless retirement income is the asset. So it's just talking them out of it has to be cash flow secured, well, from their rental as a landlord relationship, that they can still have that cash flow and better. And it's your job, Anthony, right? So how would you like it if you can have that same cash flow, except I'll pay the insurance and the taxes and do all the maintenance for you? How about that? How about you just keep these rentals, but just in a different relationship? And I'll take care of the parts you don't want, and you keep the parts you do want. That's a great solution. But yeah, in terms of like dialing down and seeing what his overall portfolio really is, you can kind of subdivide them like a sheepdog. These sheep go in that pen, these go over here, these are in the middle, could go either way. Yeah, we could work that out in a one-on-one consult if you wanted to
Sure.
pound that over. So
There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to be
there
talked.
is, but there's a lot of juice to harvest there because
Yeah.
it's just palpable how much opportunity and potential and a win-win situation that could be created out of all this. So good job on that. That's pretty exciting. How did you initially start talking?
I was, I actually, I went to a University of Arizona football game, and the guy's out there, and we're looking for parking, and he was out there selling parking spaces in one of his rental units. Or so it's like, and I jumped out of the car. It's like, well, I know this whole game. I've been here, done that. So good job for you. And he's like, oh, really? And then he invites us to dinner. So yeah, we're on pretty good terms. So yeah, it is. It's just a matter of figuring out what he's comfortable with, and then seeing if I can get some sort of rake that would make it worth it for myself. monthly. And obviously not being from here, I'd have to build a team and pay them. And I mean, it seems to me like the 73-year-old has quite a lot of maintenance going on, and the 92-year-old bought a little better, but a little more expensive properties and not quite as much maintenance issues going on. But I'm jumping right in with both of them. So yeah, I'd like to get something a little bit further down the road with them in the next week.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounds super exciting. And that lady, she might say, well, shoot, I don't even buy green bananas, right? But depending on if she has heirs and beneficiaries, I mean, most kids, they don't want their parents' rentals. Soon as they die, take that step up in basis, they're going to sell. And that's why future generations don't keep wealth very long, because all they want to do is sell assets. Okay, they don't think of thinking of keeping them and using leverage and hard work and other things. They're gonna sell them. So why don't you just give them a note stream that doesn't come with any rental landlord management capabilities? So it just depends. She might say, okay, I might carry, depends on how feisty she is and how healthy and robust, right? She might say, well, I'll carry for 5 years. You can work with that usually if you get a good enough price. Now, with long-term financing and good enough terms, doesn't even hardly matter the price you pay for something, right? But if there's going to be a 5 or 7 or 10-year call on it, then you need to think about price as well, because how am I going to refinance? Can I sell these to, some of it to pay off the other ones free and clear, whatever, And even if the market goes down, the market might go up, might stay sideways, and might go down. So you got to be okay regardless. As long
Well,
as
another thing is to sorry to interrupt here, but one avenue that I really think I'm gonna pursue is doing a master lease
yeah,
on all of them, and then with a down payment with maybe one property, and then maybe pick the rest of them off as I see fit, or do pick them off and maybe refinance them, or pick them off and sell them, that type of thing. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to create a note and that's not sellable on secondary market, and then I've damaged them. So I'm trying to use some due care here too.
yeah, I love to hear those two things, because I meant to bring up the master leasing. You're already on it, because that's a non-threatening less. They still own the property. They feel, it's just a tiny move, but then they get used to you giving them payments. And then they're like, yeah, this guy's solid. So one by one, they might own or finance them to you straight. But yes. And I like you caring about, what would they get on the secondary market if they sold this note? And that's depending on their situation. It could either make or break them, right? Some people, it doesn't matter. It's a small part of their overall portfolio. If they had to take a discount, it doesn't change whether they're going to eat, or be able to pay their property taxes, right? But some people, if you can save them 10 or 50 or $100,000, that's going to make all the difference in their world. So I really love where you're going with it. And I can see why you were a natural fit for showing up to my meetings. And I'm sorry I didn't remember that right off. That's what happens. That's what happens. I have post-COVID brain, I think. So, but I'm not getting older. I've been always saying I'm getting old. And then I go, that's not a very good thing to say. I think I'm going to stop telling myself that, because I actually don't have bandwidth for getting older. I got too much stuff to do. So anyway, Anthony, thank you for bringing that up. This has been very rich. And so this is probably where we're going to get cut off on the part that gets posted to YouTube and podcast. The rest of this juicy conversation that's now going to go another 30 minutes is going to be only in Citizens of the Realm. And you'll be hearing more about that in a quick second. All right. Thank you for engaging with my content. If you'd like to hear the rest of the replay, please go over to citizensoftherealm.com and join our free community. If you'd like to participate live, be sure to subscribe at notequeen.com. And if you have a situation where you could use some one-on-one help, check out notequeendeepdive.com and schedule a private consultation. I guarantee that 1 hour with me will either make or save you thousands. Take this information and go out there and create financial solutions just one mom and pop to another. See you next time. Take care, everybody.